Alrighty, hello every folks and good morning. So it's another one of these cases where Steam is going and doing stuff, namely sales and awards and all that kind of thing. Honestly, I feel like these awards end up having more of an effect than actual like the Game Awards from the other day. Anyway, let's go ahead and cover this thing and also continue to lament that Unicorn Overlord is still not on Steam. And possibly never will, but it should be, and it's sad that it isn't. Now, let's go ahead and get into this thing. First of all, if you have not done your whole nominating thing, you should see notifications all over Steam to go and nominate stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of choices in here that you might have already played. But yeah, I actually thought Tactics Ogre was on here again. Due to its whole placement, where they had like a little ad thing. So I thought I could nominate it for something, but unfortunately, didn't come up here, though there is an option to put Kingsbane for Game of the Year and Against the Storm for Best Game on Steam Deck, which abso-freaking-lutely. Like, Against the Storm on Steam Deck, beautiful. Kingsbane, some of the most solid, like, Metroidvania RPG kind of stuff I've seen in ages. God, I love that game. Also, Labor of Love, gotta throw Armored Core in there. But let's go ahead and talk about the Steam sale, because there's a lot of stuff to go and recommend, and yeah, let's take a look. Also, it was a little bit surprising to see some of the slightly more indie stuff on here, like 63 Days. I mean, that thing is like an ultra-hardcore stealth game, and sure enough, it got a chance to be on here, so that's pretty cool. I hope that one gets some recognition. They really, really tried with that one. And yeah, actually, cool to see the SOC over here for story-rich games, which, yeah, as far as story-related games that came out, honestly, Sword of Convallaria really has some of the most solid writing in the genre for a decently long time, even though it pretends to be a dumb phone game. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the stuff that's on sale, starting with the usual that I'm going to start off with, Tactics Ogre Reborn. You know full damn well I'm going to go recommend this. For anyone that's never played it, allow me to introduce you to the weirdness that is the Steam reviews for Tactics Ogre Reborn. Namely, it always winds up as mostly positive because upon trying it, people are usually overwhelmed. It's a game that is entirely about its adaptive narrative and kind of interesting combat dynamics, many of which involve essentially only taking attacks when you have an advantage against somebody. So if somebody's doing the typical thing of like running up and using basic melee attacks, they're like, no, my units are too weak, everything is too slow, and then you look at the speedrun from the other day, it's like, here you go, here's how you take the weakest unit in the game and turn them into an absolute monster. So this game is incredible. As far as story-based games, easily my favorite by a dang mile. Yeah, you already knew full well I'm going to recommend it. Is it worth the $24? Yes. No question. Again, I've gotten thousands of hours out of this over the course of multiple different versions. I basically own it on everything because it comes on sale pretty regularly, and also that time that they gave me a copy for free. And I wish that you could buy it. Honestly, I will say, this is one of those very few cases where I actually regret not necessarily getting the premium version or something, because you can't buy the soundtrack separately. It's got an incredible soundtrack. You can't buy it separately. Don't know why. Anyway, let's go back to the store, though, and talk about the kind of feature list, as well as just kind of other cool stuff that's on here. For one thing, if you haven't picked up Darkest Dungeon yet, for whatever reason, $2! What are you doing? Go get it right now. It's amazing. I technically have it on other stuff, and I plan to also pick it up a second time here, but $2 is absolutely insane. Let's see. As far as... Wait, what? They made a zombie goat simulator? Alright, you know what? Fair enough. Let's see, as far as sales go, I noticed earlier that the new kind of a Mass Effect release was only $5, which is kind of nuts. So forget that Andromeda exists, but if you ever, for example, wanted all the Mass Effect games and whatever else, this is basically the lowest I've ever seen it. It's pretty much all the mainline games with all their DLC and everything else. Incredibly good deal. Also probably tells me that they're probably actually working on a sequel, that they're going to be at that much of a discount. But yeah, fun games. Not exactly my personal favorite, but just seemed like one hell of a deal on there. Let's see. Let's go ahead and look at the under 10 list, because this one seemed pretty darn stacked, because they had a lot of stuff on there. Subnautica, again, personally on my list to try later, but if you wanted horror under the sea, amazing game. Let's see what else here. Actually, wait a minute. No, where was it here? Kingdom Come, $3. very insanely good deal. Definitely should pick that up. If you like kind of medieval life simulators and stuff like that, it is very, very good. Let's see, as far as stuff that I haven't picked up yet, but planned to at some point, I did mention Triangle Strategy going cheap last time, and sure enough, it's here for $23. Now, between this and Tactics Ogre, I mean, I would say Tactics Ogre all day, but it's still a pretty darn good game, and also the 3D version came out, or not 3D, but I guess technically, okay, VR, whatever. The VR version came out recently. I don't know what the price is on that one. I assume you get it if you have the PC version or something. I honestly don't know. Also, wait a minute, I promised them I'd make a video on it and then totally forgot. Alright, well, I'll get to that at some point. Alright, next up on the list is just kind of like personal recommendations. I recommended it last time, recommending it again. Monster Sanctuary, $5. If you like Metroidvanias, if you like Pokemon games, and just wanted to see them smushed together into one indie project, here you go. Very solidly made game. Also, these guys are working on another game at the moment that's looking pretty darn cool, but basically has this unique system where every fight is a team fight, and you kind of got this kind of momentum type of deal going on where everything that you do early into a match ends up kind of cascading into later on. If your fights go on too long, they start getting a bunch of damage buffs and stuff like that to try to wrap things up. It's a very, very nice flowing game in general. Not to mention it has a bunch of New Game Plus modes. It's got your Nuzlockes, hardcore modes, randomizers, whatever else kinds of stuff that you'd like from your mainline, Pokemon game challenge runs and whatever else, just kind of all built into the mechanics, as it were. And it seems like Team17 in general has a sale going on. So let's go ahead and see what they've all got going on here, because they've got a lot of decently fun stuff. Do we have any worms on here? I figure we probably would. Are there worms? I don't see worms. Where's the worms? We gotta have worms. I mean, escapists are fun, but I've seen this go on sale for like $2, so that's all well and good. But where's the worms? Here we go. There we go. So yeah, Worms WND seems to be the latest of the sort of like mainline ones here. I know my kids absolutely love this one, but like if you've played Worms, you know Worms. But it's there for $4 now. Very good stuff there. I don't know what the deal is with this one. I think this is like some. I don't know what the deal is. I assume it's $1 for a reason. I've never heard good things about Worms Rumble, so there's that too. Let's see. As far as Reloaded and Revolution, I own both of those, but don't particularly like them. So, like, I wish they had Open Warfare 2 ported to this one, but from what I hear, WMD is basically that. Alright, let's see what else here, because there is actually one more that I wanted to go on here, because earlier we were mentioning Kingsvein, and for that one, not only is this one still getting updates, but all the Rad Codex games are currently on sale. Kingsvein is only off at 25%. This one's fairly new, so kind of to be expected there. But looking at the bundle of other stuff that they've got, Horizon's Gate, excellent for $10 there. Voidspire and Alvora also are down to $3.74 and $2.49 respectively. All of these have roughly similar game mechanics. They just sort of keep expanding out in terms of cool stuff that they try. So like, Horizon's Gate is basically if you took something like Final Fantasy Tactics, combine it with Ultima, and then just basically set it in, like, Zelda Wind Waker, where you could just sort of interact with anything, use your skills out in the world to go and interact with stuff. Like, all these games have this interesting engine where all of your combat skills are also... decided to do some funny shenanigans there. But all of them essentially allow you to interact with the world yourself. So, like, if you can, for example, shield bash something to hit something in combat, you can also use it to go move props around. Or if you can, pull something with your your lasso or whatever else, you can use it to pull something off a shelf or pull it through the water towards you. Use it to go fishing for items or something. You swing an axe in combat, you can also swing it to cut a tree out of your way. It's a very satisfying system. They play surprisingly well on Steam Deck, even though I think technically they're listed as unsupported for some reason. Let me see if that's still the case. No. Okay, no, it does mention that it has partial controller support. What they're trying to say is it's complete fantastic controller support, and you should use it. What are you doing? So that's great stuff there. A little bit surprised to see that Wildermyth isn't on sale right now, but that's definitely a overwhelming positive. Let's continue on here, see what else we can find. Yeah, when it comes to Fell Seal, always going to recommend that one. You know, recommend it every single dang time. What a shocker. But yeah, $4.49 for that thing. Just get the $5.79 version with all of the DLC, which is basically just the one DLC. But if you liked Final Fantasy Tactics and you're okay with adapting to a new visual style, you'll absolutely love this. It's got some of the best class customization stuff in the genre by a pretty decent margin. The classes are really fun to play with, though I will mention one little detail. Go into the menu and set the animation speeds to be a bit faster. As soon as you have that going, you're going to find a very, very satisfying game here. So we've got New Game Plus modes on this one. You've got a incredible amount of customization in terms of everything that the AI can do, from how they're allowed to spawn, to how they scale, to the kinds of skills that they have available to them. So if you want some like FFT 1.3 level nonsense, you can have that right out of the box. If you want to have it a little bit easier, you can do that. Even down to using individual strategies. So for example, there's a mechanic in the game where if a unit is launched into deep enough water, they just drown. So if, for example, you could just kind of prevent the AI from using it, or just allow them to be absolutely malicious with it. It does have a pretty darn smart AI overall, and again, the customization is pretty darn neat, allowing you to do a sort of FFTA kind of thing, where you're going to be stacking a lot of things to kind of multiply their effects. So, like, we're talking about situations where, like, if you wanted to, let's say, put down traps. Those traps are technically an item. You put on multiple copies of a throwing glove, each of those expand your range to use an item by 1, and so now you're basically throwing traps halfway across the map and stuff like that. It's very fun. Okay, let's see, next up, I wonder if all the Risk of Rain games are on sale. Because this is one that I was kind of talking up the other day, and sure enough, yes, $2 for Risk of Rain. Hell, you can even buy it at a 4-pack, which is hilarious. So technically, there's a Risk of Rain remake that they actually did somewhat recently. Let me go ahead and see what's going on here. I'll personally say this original Risk of Rain still holds up. This is still one of my favorite things ever. So yeah, like if you liked, let's say something like Binding of Isaac, and you wanted to have a sort of, I guess, more action-y version of that. The basic premise is roughly similar to Binding of Isaac. You get into a zone, you are trying to find a way out of that zone. As soon as you activate your exit, you fight a boss, but in the meantime, you're running around and basically collecting items by sacrificing money, health, whatever else it demands, and in the meantime, you're constantly getting swarmed by stuff from all sides. Essentially, just resulting in being followed around by a ginormous mob at all times, and yeah, the idea is you're supposed to try to get past all of it in one life. The Risk of Rain formula is pretty darn fun. Again, the remake came out recently, so we're going to go ahead and see how that's going. Okay, so let's see. Risk of Rain Returns. Yeah, like that one's $11, and it's on sale right now. Obviously, it just came out, so it's only going to be so discounted, which fair enough. I personally think the original one still holds up great, especially on Steam Deck. So that's pretty darn neat. It seems like most of the bosses are roughly the same, give or take. But they actually have customized loadouts from Risk of Rain 2, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, very, very, very fun games if you've never tried them. So if you're just curious what it's about, get Risk of Rain. Just regular Risk of Rain. It's only $2. It's going to be the best $2 you've ever spent. Actually, the Risk of Rain 2 soundtrack is definitely one of those ones that's probably going to be worth that $2 as well. Speaking of Risk of Rain 2, so yeah, another one that's going to be very, very, very highly recommended. Same general kind of shtick that we were just talking about. You warp into an area, and you're essentially fighting through stuff, collecting items, and trying to get to an exit, and then fighting a boss. Now, this has some of the most satisfying movement of any game I've ever played. Like, I don't know if they're going to show it in the trailer kind of thing here, but just like the idea of, like, let's say you're playing as a bandit that's that guy with a blue hat, and they have a little bit of a hop every time that they turn invisible. And so, for example, you don't have a double jump at the start of the game, and you may never get one depending on how the items roll. And so, for example, they can do a thing where you turn yourself invisible and then trigger a different type of attack to then go and turn yourself visible again, giving you a sort of a kind of triple jump ability. or if you hit certain ledges with that commando, that's a guy in the yellow armor there, you can essentially just kind of skate up certain ledges and stuff like that. So it's got some of the most satisfying jump mechanics and movement that I've seen this side of a Sonic game. So, like, I love playing this thing just for the movement alone. But yeah, very fun game, extremely difficult game though. Just kind of just throw that out there. Again, one of those ones that easily earns that very positive. And let's go ahead and move on. Alright, so let's see, what else is on here? Oh yeah, so this one's gonna be a little bit out of left field, because it's also disappearing on the 6th, which is kind of depressing. That's actually where they got this mixed reviews from all of a sudden, because people are pissed that the Genesis classics are going away. This is my favorite way to play Genesis games, and yeah, it's pretty darn nifty. So, what we're looking at here, if we look over the bundle, is technically as soon as you buy one of the games, you have a whole bunch of Genesis games here as DLC and stuff. Now, the way that this is all presented is that you're essentially just a sort of in a bedroom in the 90s, and dude, this aesthetic is so dang nostalgic. Like, I love this. I don't know if anyone else was a Genesis kid growing up, but just seeing those dorky-looking boxes on a shelf and stuff like that, I kind of wish it had the harder plastic cases, but it's cool to see that on there. But you've got, like, little challenges that are included for all of these. You can change the time of day and everything else. You've got the old posters from the 90s and stuff. Again, probably one of my favorite ways to play games off the Genesis. And additionally, even though this is not officially listed as a feature, the Steam Workshop support for this whole thing basically had a bunch of people putting ROMs in that technically shouldn't be there. So if there's games that maybe are not on the list and you'd like them to be, then yeah, they're potentially going to be there. Like, let me see if I have. Do I have a list of the ones that I subscribe to or not? Maybe not. But like, for example, a lot of people buy Sonic 3D Blast because some of the games that got removed, for various background reasons, are not able to be put back into this collection. People that already have it, but sometimes, like, if you found out about this after they released Sonic Origins, you can't get some of these games. And so, for example, if you wanted Sonic 2 on there, you just go over to the workshop and it's like, hey, Sonic 3D is now Sonic 2, you know? Or, for example, if you liked Buster's Hidden Treasure growing up, that's one of the ones that I know I had on there. Or if you liked Bubsy, you can use that to go replace something. What does this replace? Does it say? Does it say anything whatsoever about what it replaces? No, we're just not going to mention that information. Okay, cool. Thanks, Workshop. But yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Does it have a list of... Let's see. There we go. Subscribed items. So, like, they didn't have the Justice League fighting game. That's something that I played a ton with my friends growing up, and that just ends up replacing one of the games on there. Or, you know, Buster's Hidden Treasure again was just really good. The Shadow Run for Genesis was really good, but also not technically in the collection normally. They had kind of hard modes for certain games thrown in there as well. So yeah, you can even mod your games with this cool kind of emulator backend kind of thing. So I love it. I'm kind of sad that they're taking it away, presumably replacing it with some other new thing. Also, man, the Phantasy Star 2 portraits just continue to look absolutely fugly. But yeah. Again, for what it's worth, I absolutely love that one. Alright, let's see, is Norland by chance on sale? Because if so, that is also coming recommended. Yeah, Norland, it's not exactly super cheap yet, but easily one of the most wholesome kind of community simulators I've played in a while. Like, they're going to show battle scenes because it's a trailer and stuff like that, but a lot of it is just sort of kind of community management. You're dealing with your neighbors, you're trying to help them serve up requests, you're trying to deal with people trying to take over your place and whatever else. Trying to stay away from the ire of the church that's trying to rebuild itself, and the idea is that you're more or less trying to repair Norway after a bit of a religious schism causes everybody to kill each other. So yeah, really cool stuff there. I really love this game. I mean, I can't obviously say about the price because they kind of sent me a review code and then sent me another review code. But dude, this is easily one of my favorites all-time kind of community builder kind of things. It's just so dang wholesome. It's a lot of fun to just like if you're a fan of like Dwarf Fortress kind of stuff, or RimWorld or whatever else, it's kind of like a way more wholesome version of RimWorld, in a bit more down to earth kind of setting. And yeah, it's fun. It's a really, really fun game. But it looks like just Hooded Horse in general has a bunch of stuff on sale. Against the Storm, I mentioned this earlier as a kind of easy kind of a best game on the Steam Deck contender here. So $15, yeah, I'd say it's worth it. This is also kind of a community simulator kind of thing, but this is a game in which you're essentially putting together a sort of survivors camp. You're making a series of survivors camps that feel very similar to if you ever happen to be one of those folks that love to play RTS games, but was more so just interested in building a cool base and not necessarily going out and doing war type stuff. So the idea is that there is a never-ending storm, and you're constantly getting rained on, lightninged on, and whatever else. And the world is effectively getting eviscerated every decade or so, right? Every time that you break a seal as you're going around, you expand the time that the world can potentially survive. And so essentially every time that you go out and build these new camps, you make a few kind of easy camps along the way, and then you get into harder and harder regions where the woods might be haunted, the trees are literally scaring your villagers because they've got faces on them, you've got a bunch of weird bug infestations that are messing with your food supplies, all of the weird kinds of stuff that you'd see, like let's say from like a dwarf fortress in a scary biome or whatever else that you'd never build in, but instead it's just kind of naturally worked into everything. And so over time you're running into new hazards, like you saw there. Like in some cases you'll just run into straight up monsters as soon as you walk into an area. In other cases you'll have kind of benefits that you get along the way, like that egg was one of the ones that I'd gotten recently, where it just sort of gave a bonus to production at the cost of a penalty for a few kind of settlements along the way. And those big glowing eyeball things are what you're trying to fight as you're going through. You're trying to close off all those eyeballs to give you more time to go explore the world more. It's such a cozy game, dude. For having a lot of stuff that looks stressful or whatever else, it is so cozy. So if you have a Steam Deck, if you're looking for just like a sit down and chill game, highest recommendation possible right here, okay? Like, it manages to be equal parts difficult, but very, very chill. So easy recommendation there. That overwhelmingly positive, my god, did they earn that just with no questions. Okay. Actually, going on that particular route, we will go back to that previous one. Actually, no, you know what, let's continue on. Let's finish that thought, and then we'll go look at other games here as well, because there's going to be a few things that'll kind of hit that particular nail. So Manor Lords, I'd heard really good things about. That's one that's also on my list that I need to cover that I just sort of forgot. So that's my bad. Let's see here. Empires: The Undergrowth was pretty cool. If you wanted an RTS where everyone's playing as ants, that's just it's a cool concept. It wasn't working on Steam Deck when I first tried it, but supposedly it's gotten a decent bit better. But if you love, if you happen to love the idea of a RTS where everyone is bugs, there you go. It seemed like a hell of a lot of fun. I need to go look into this one again because it seemed like a lot of fun. I just literally could not play it when I originally got the code over a year ago. Was it over a year ago, or was it? I don't know. This last year has been weird. It might have been over a year ago. Let's see. This one looked. I wonder if this is the one I'm thinking of. I don't know. Let's see. Breachway, if you like deck builders, you like space, there's that. I haven't quite gotten to that one just yet. Xenonauts 2 is not on sale by much. It's still in development. It's definitely going to be on the higher end as far as sale games go. But I'm going to throw it out here as a recommendation because it is a hell of a lot of fun if you love strategic shooters. Basic idea is that the Cold War never ended. It continued on until the modern day. A lot of the setting of this game became uncomfortably prescient as the last few years played out. I will say that much. Hey, guess what? We're living through Cold War II. It's going differently this time. Anyway, But yeah, as far as Xeno 2 goes, the idea is that you're building a series of bases. It's kind of classic XCOM there, but with way more mechanics. And so you're kind of building out jets. The air game is way more detailed and kind of more of a sort of bullet hell with multiple units kind of situation. The combat mechanics are really darn fun in this one, with everything being fully modeled out in 3D this time around. You don't have to play the original Xenonauts to play this one. It basically builds off everything that one did and expands on it pretty dramatically. And on top of that, you've got a ton of interesting enemy types. You've got a fantastic amount of mission variety. So yeah, if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, if you like the idea of classic XCOM, but you'd like to have it be a bit more modern, have a lot more mechanics, at the very least, keep an eye on this one. It does come on sale every now and then. It is a little bit up there as far as prices go, generally speaking, but it's a very cool game. All right. Anyway, let's continue moving on here, because there are, again, more things to recommend, and not a million years to do so. Let's see. Heart of the Machine. So, okay, this one isn't out yet. I actually don't know if we're even allowed to technically talk about it yet. Well, I'm glad I didn't technically put the video out on it yet. I was sure I missed the release on this one at some point. Man. Yeah, okay, this is technically a sale recommendation. We're not going to talk about this one just yet. Incredibly cool concept for a game. If you ever wanted to play as a sort of rogue AI, sort of matrixing your way through the universe, keep an eye on this one. Way too complicated for me to understand, but man, this game is trippy as hell. Anyway, let's continue on. What else are we... Did we cover most of this one? I think we did. I feel like there's one I missed. I might have done. But let's go back to this kind of stuff. Is La-Mulana on sale? I feel like it's always on sale. If you ever want to feel incredibly bad at being terrible at a puzzle game, La-Mulana is a great way to give yourself a headache. I am going to recommend it because it's got an amazing soundtrack and really fun gameplay. Basic idea is that this was like a NES game or something originally, and over time it saw a couple of re-releases, and this is one of those re-releases, where it's based... Here, let's go ahead and mute this real quick. Basically, it's like just a big ol' interactive puzzle. You're doing the whole Indiana Jones thing, and the entire area of the game is just one gigantic puzzle. Literally... Oh, no, mute it again. Literally, the entire map of the game is just one gigantic puzzle for you to try to figure out, including surprisingly in-depth lore, and it even has a kind of notes section for you to try to keep notes on everything that you're doing at all times, including a little laptop that's got a bunch of different apps to allow you to do things like translate certain things that you've run into, or maybe save the locations of certain things or whatever else. It's effectively you and your Indiana Jones guy trying to figure out how exactly to kind of solve the mystery of this weird gigantic puzzle box using just an old very limited space computer from the 90s. Like the whole time you're getting weird spam emails and whatever else from an old man at the entrance who's trying to help and occasionally just spouts nothingness. But yeah, it's an experience and a half. Like one of these games that I would easily recommend as just... You don't know until you've played it, you know? You don't know until you've tried. There's a lot more than it seems here. But yeah, very fun game. This release, which I believe is roughly the same as the PS Vita release, comes with extra stuff like boss modes and, like boss rushes, challenge modes, and whatnot. So that's also very fun. If you wanted a really intense puzzler for $3, there you go. Again, weird random thing out of nowhere to recommend, but definitely recommending that one. If for sheer weirdness, if nothing else. Is XCOM on sale? Because it's always on sale. If you haven't played XCOM, it is on sale. What a shocker. Now, let's see. This actually, okay. XCOM Enemy Unknown and all of its DLC, this is the version you would normally buy. This goes on sale for like $2 every time there's a holiday sale, so that's fine. You're okay missing that for now. Where's XCOM 2 then? Yeah, where's 2 at? Because 2, I would assume, like, this is the one that they throw way more sales at. Usually with the DLC and everything, it's like $5, so do that. That'll give you basically everything that you're looking for here. You want the War of the Chosen? Okay, I guess it's like Yeah, okay, it's like $5.99 in this case. That's like one of the best values in strategy RPGs by far. And despite what it tries to tell you, it is absolutely a strategy RPG. Basic idea is that well, the XCOM from the first game lost, everybody got taken over, and now you're sort of doing a whole kind of cyberpunk resistance against everything that took over the world. Great class customization, great unit customization, really fun battles and such, and you specifically want to get the War of the Chosen version. Like, make sure that this is included in there. All the other stuff is secondary. War of the Chosen is absolutely incredible. But basically, this gives you a bunch of new enemy types, new bosses that follow you throughout the entire game, new unit types to play with, a bunch of kind of interesting spy type of mechanics. Like, I'm pretty sure the whole reputation for War of the Chosen and just kind of XCOM 2 in general sort of precedes it. I'm surprised that this isn't an overwhelmingly positive, because very few SRPGs get a chance to go dig this damn deep. So, yeah, easy recommendation for me for sure. And just so you know, go into it with a sort of tongue-in-cheek explanation, or kind of a mindset in mind. Because, yeah, it's going to be cheesy. You're going to have the Reapers being overly edgy. You're going to have the Skirmishers trying to be way more intense than they seem. You're going to have the Templars being a big cringe. It's fine, okay? Just imagine it's a Saturday morning cartoon and roll with it. Just ignore the sort of campy nature of the whole thing. It's trying to do a lot of the same stuff that the original XCOM tried back in the day, with the goofy haircuts and the weird designs for things. It's basically a sort of a tongue-in-cheek horror movie type of setting. The combat and mechanics and everything else are top notch. But yeah, like, the campy stuff is there to offset the overly serious other stuff. It gives it a very interesting headspace. So, very, very beautiful game. All right, moving on. What else do we got here? I mean, that's just sort of there. Oh yeah, so this is free. I mean, I'm just gonna throw it in here because it's free. Yeah, sort of Convallaria. As far as if you like SRPGs, you like to have this sort of thing. Again, it's already free, so we're just gonna throw it in here for the hell of it. Basically, one of the better SRPGs out there in terms of combat mechanics and sort of interactable story type of stuff. It pretends to be a dumb phone game. After you get past the intro, you can just do the Spiral of Destinies mode. I think that's this one here, maybe. Could have been, maybe. I don't know. The sort of interactive story mode kind of thing here. It actually has more choices than it even pretends to. But the idea is that you have a sort of a time loop situation in which every time you go through, you can sort of alter the story a bit more. Your first choices don't seem like they're very much of choices. However, you do actually have more choices that you can do outside of the dialogue choices. So, like, the way that you fight fights, the way that you spare or kill certain units or whatever else during said fights, does actually impact the story in more ways than I would have expected. So, like, for example, if you repeatedly spare certain characters, or you repeatedly defy orders, like, even though the game will tell you, like, oh, here's your enemy, and then you can just basically make the choice of, what if I didn't, though? And it'll just kind of adapt to the stuff that you did most of the time. It does have some moments where it sort of seems a little confusing in that regard, but it's a very good entry. And obviously, if you're looking for free, I mean, it's already free. It's basically on everything from phone to Steam Deck, so there you go. Now let's go back and look at a few more. Is Symphony of War on sale? Are you on sale? Yeah, I mean, I would say it's a little high for this thing right here. I guess 50% is fairly standard. Yeah, $10. If you'd like to see a interesting mix of Fire Emblem, Ogre Battle of all things, and a little bit of Age of Empires 2, surprisingly, this is again a very fun game. Some folks, just like Felseal, get a little bit angry in their pants over the visual style, but it's a cool mix of mechanics. And additionally, you've got units that will kind of do unique things as you carry on. So, like, for example, I mentioned earlier that there was that sort of AoE2-esque upgrade system that was going on. So if we go at the very start here, wherever it was, we'll see that there's a very similar looking tech tree if you've played that before, but giving units particular modifications will cause them to act differently. Different classes will do different things depending on context. You do have the sort of ogre battle thing of putting them in different rows for different things, but like, for example, hopefully they'll show it here, but like sneaky units will disappear at the start of a fight and ambush the back row instead of attacking from the front. Ranged units may fire before the fight even starts. Certain units like cannons and guns and stuff will fire once, but they won't have any counterattacks. And it's just fun kind of doing team building for stuff like this. Granted, you know, it does make me wish that we had Unicorn Overlord on the Steam Deck every time that I play it, but it is a very fun game. It's got a very vibrant aesthetic. It's fun to play through. The combat is satisfying. It's got permadeath modes if that's your sort of thing. There we go. There's the tech tree I was talking about. And again, the unit builds are fun to play around with, from quirks like individual leader capabilities to just items that you could give them and whatnot. So very fun, satisfying game. So. Easy recommendation there. Let's see, is Octopath 2 on sale? I feel like it's going to be on sale, but it won't be enough on sale like it usually does. Are you on sale? I mean, it's 40% off. See, Octopath is one of those ones that's kind of similar to a lot of Square games where I would definitely recommend it if they could just swallow their pride a little bit and make it a little cheaper. I'm sure people will still buy it for the price. Octopath 2 is an incredible game. If you love classic JRPGs, you love to see the cool interactive mechanics, you love to see a really, really vibrant world, it definitely nails that to a T. It feels excellent to even just run through. The characters are interesting. I mean, they have some stereotypes in there, but again, characters and aesthetics and everything are definitely interesting. These are the same people that ended up doing Triangle Strategy and stuff like that, though I will say I'd easily rate Octopath 2 above that any day of the week, because it seems like they were more in their element here. The sort of 2D HD thing feels a lot more natural here. They actually get interesting effects out of it, from the nighttime fights looking really cool to a lot of the personal scenes being very dynamic. I loved a lot of the fog effects in particular because it gave a lot of mystery to certain areas. So yeah, really good ratings as they're talking about here. Not really much of a shocker. There's more that, like, this is one of those ones that I always wanted to get into more, and then just more and more TRPGs kept coming out, and yeah, I get obsessed with those. Anyway, carrying on. Now, out of curiosity... Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. Last Spell is getting another DLC. Please tell me you're on sale. Last Spell is another absolutely incredible game. Are you on sale? Good. You're on sale for 50% off. That's decent. So yeah, Last Spell is, again, another kind of TRPG, SRPG, whatever else, with the premise being that you are serving as a sort of last stand for a city. This is actually very similar to a more violent version of Against the Storm that we were talking about earlier. Where you're kind of building up defenses, you're building up some structures on a barely holding on settlement, and you're given a little bit of information in terms of kind of what enemies are coming. You have a handful of randomized units that you're going and trying to defend the place with, all of which are going to be sort of individually overpowered and stuff like that, but you're kind of doing the whole SRPG turn-based thing in order to try to hold them all off. You probably won't be able to hold off absolutely everything, but it's very cathartic to work out combos where you're going and mowing down, hundreds of units in a single turn and stuff like that. So it's a very fun dynamic. It definitely has that you are completely doomed vibe to it. And yeah, the UI is a little hard to read at first, but you'll definitely get used to it. So if you love strategy RPGs, you love kind of last stand scenarios, you're definitely going to love this one too. Again, one of those VOS RPGs that actually makes movement a kind of interesting dynamic, from certain people, like, for example, being better at leaping over certain things, to other characters just performing better versus certain types of units, or potentially engaging better versus certain kind of percentages of health bars or what have you. So sort of puzzling out those moments without any mulligans, where you have to clear out an entire area, but one guy's your anti-armor guy, but he can't get in there until, let's say, your archer clears out a bunch of randos out of the way. Wizard guy needs to go boost them, but also needs to hopefully retreat and maybe, help out defensively somewhere else. Again, it's a fun puzzle to try and play out there. So yeah, another definite recommendation there. Battle Brothers, are you on sale? Because this is another one that tends to, I occasionally be on sale, but usually end up still being too much at the end of the day. Yeah, also solid. If you like, again, SRPGs, but you like them to be brutal, bloody, and have a sort of roguelike spin to them. So you are functioning as a sort of team of mercenaries, at first just doing their job, and then eventually fighting against whatever the kind of greater evil of the day happens to be. Very, very kind of intricate combat in terms of everything. So, like, somebody may break through somebody's shield, but then their axe gets stuck in their chainmail or something, so that little bit of extra durability that you got on that thing by repairing it earlier might have just saved their life. Or those cases where you're surrounded by wolves and you don't want to have any spears out because they're just going to kind of bypass your spears, but stuff like swords might be better at fighting them off, or daggers might be better at fighting them off. It really makes you think about the little stuff, so if that's the kind of game you're looking for, odds are you already own Battle Brothers, but in case you missed it, there it is. Okay, let's see. This, I would expect this to be on sale, actually, because this was on one of those Game of the Year lists. If you want a very kind of hardcore stealth game, 63 Days is very, very unique. So this is, again, one of those ones that I got a preview code for, so I'm going to have a little bit of a bias for it, but the general idea is that you are essentially serving as a sort of a resistance group of sorts, in exactly the conflict that you're thinking. However, you're supposed to use your kind of limited units to try and essentially take over entire bases at once, and it's kind of got that sort of almost like a sort of strategy-based MGS5 vibe to it, where the areas are huge and the responses to being even discovered in a lot of cases tend to be overwhelmingly brutal. Like, you end up getting spotted by one guy, and suddenly you're trying to survive against a onslaught of like 50 dudes shooting at you. It is very brutal and nitty-gritty, and tends to be pretty darn difficult. So if that's the kind of thing you're going for, if you love that sort of classic, very, very difficult kind of stealth action, this is going to absolutely tickle your fancy like nobody's business. It's very good about its UI design, telling you everything from sound ranges to visual cones and whatnot, as well as all the characters that you get having unique individual skills to get past everything. And again, it's very freeform. While there may be intended routes through stuff, you can definitely pick unintended routes to get the job done. You just have kind of very general objectives, and as long as you get it done, however you get it done, job done. That's it. Very, like, as far as stealth games go, definitely one of the more unique ones I've played in a very long time, so really loved that one. Actually, speaking of stealth games, I wonder if Spirit of Thieves is on sale. Let's see. Yeah, that's also on sale. You know what? Easy recommendation. Easy recommendation here. So, speaking of stealth games, we got Spirit of Thief. If you like classic Thief games, and you wanted it to, for example, be a sort of a turn-based type of affair, you're going to love this game. It's one of these ones where you can't actually lose any characters or you get an instant game over, so there is that, but once again, like a lot of the previous ones that we talked about, every area is effectively one gigantic puzzle box with kind of unique mechanics. The general premise is that you are a thief who happens to have a kind of ghost buddy that's going in and helping them out. Before the thing even starts, the ghost goes in and they kind of scout out the area, they scout out what dangers are in there, and they can potentially interact with some things that a ghost may be able to interact with, blowing out a candle or something like that. And so you then go and do this whole prep phase as the ghost, and then you go in with the actual infiltration team, which can be any number of different people that you picked up along the way, and you can swap out those people in certain situations. There's additionally the option to go back and kind of go for a high score on these different levels and whatnot, and it's a ton of fun. It's a ton of fun to go through. Everything from the animations to the designs are very, very stylish, and the gameplay is really satisfying. For me personally, I was kind of blown away by just how much interactability there was in the whole thing. And yeah, if you're looking for a great stealth game, you want to have something that's a bit more. Oh, whoops! I just noticed the music's double playing here. If you wanted to have something that's a bit more kind of puzzly in its nature, then you might really enjoy this. Now, I'm sure there are exact answers to some things, but you can improvise pretty readily, and you have a certain amount of kind of backtracking available to you because the levels do tend to get fairly long. Yeah, you can kind of prep with different items, going in with different abilities and what have you. So it's a very deep stealth game that doesn't really get talked about as much. So it's only up to 50 here. But yeah, if you if that's what you're looking for, I mean, that's $3. That's an easy recommendation for me. I think this one. I think it is. This is not what I think it is. Never mind. That's not what I thought it was. All right, let's go ahead and see what else we got here. Timebreak Chronicles. Are you on sale by chance? Yes. Okay, 974. It's still currently being worked on. If you like the idea of combining together FTL and a JRPG, here you go, Timebreak Chronicles. That's exactly what it is. And so if you wanted to have cases where you have your party of apparently a motorcycle rider, like a cyborg, just a random person, I guess a gypsy or something, a knight and a monk, fighting a bunch of random battles through time and space, it's a very... what you see is exactly what you get. It's JRPG FTL, and it's very, very fun. The basic idea is that as you're carrying along, you rescue these different characters, they join your team, and their individual abilities cause different kinds of synergies between your team and what have you. And then you further kind of amplify all of their different abilities with items from these other characters, allowing them to cross-class. A mechanic that I completely misunderstood my first few times playing through the thing, though it really didn't diminish any enjoyment from the absolutely game-breaking stuff that you can do with a lot of these characters, and that's the idea. It's one of these games that basically challenges you to break it, and wants you to break it over and over and over for these different runs. It's a ton of fun. While the price may seem a bit much for the aesthetic, it might be exactly what you're looking for. So again, another easy recommendation there. Alright, going back just a step here, I saw Crystal Project in here. Are you on the list by chance? Because speaking of just kind of chill games with good vibes, there's Crystal Project, again in that pile of a classic JRPG-like, but its main gimmick is that you are traveling around the world and just kind of relaxing. In many cases, you're just kind of looking into the aesthetics and funny animals that pop up there. You've got the occasional boss fight to unlock more of the world. Your team is a sort of customized list of whatever you'd like, and yeah, you're just kind of exploring, doing jumping puzzles. It's just kind of just vibing, frankly. It's got some great environment design. It just feels good to run around in. And you just find new secrets, find new things to unlock, and interact with the world as you carry along, lots of heart to the monster designs, lots of different classes to play around with, and yeah, might be exactly what you're looking for, so we'll pop that on the list as well. What else do we got here? I'm assuming FTL has to be on sale. I saw that Into the Breach was on sale, though, yeah, friggin' FTL for $250, oh my god. Buy FTL. If you have not played FTL, go buy FTL right now. I will not explain further. You are committing a crime if you don't. Okay. Next thing I will say, though, one that... wait, why is it not recommended right next to it? There it is. Into the Breach. So, I will say, though, Into the Breach, if you have Netflix, just go play it on your phone. Into the Breach is a fantastic game by the exact same people. I personally found it to be absolutely perfect in its phone form, and if you, again, own Netflix, if you subscribe to Netflix, that version is just free with your subscription, and you can just go get it right now. For me personally, that ended up being sort of the the most perfect happy accident here. General idea is that it is a time loop in which bugs are constantly destroying the universe over and over and over. You can reappear at the very start of said invasion to try and save that particular timeline with a team of customized mechs, and all of them are going to have different abilities depending on how you want stuff to move, how you want stuff to attack, and whatever else. As you carry on through the game, you get new types of machines to go and send in with, along with new skins for them, and you're kind of just adapting to the stuff that you find along the way. So again, another fantastic game, brilliant game, definitely earns its very positive here. However, again, on PC, if you're exclusively playing on PC, sure, go get it. But considering that it's $7.50, even on sale. And considering that you probably have it for free on your phone because most people have Netflix, I would personally recommend just going down that route, but it's up to you. Also, one of the best soundtracks ever made. I will not hear anything otherwise. If you want to get a sample of it, look up ACID on YouTube. Just kind of listen to the soundtrack. It's just freaking amazing. All right. Let's see. AOE2, surely you're on sale because you're always on sale. Sweet Jesus, what is that price? Okay, well, not quite on sale. Also, their bundle price is terrifying and kind of gives me pain in the wallet. Let's see. New Vegas, surely you're on sale. You're on sale every 2 seconds. How would you not be on sale? Yeah, if you've never played New Vegas Ultimate, $7.99. Now, this does go down to $5 on most holidays, so up to you. But base game New Vegas, even by itself, is a fan-frickin-tastic game. Definitely earns that overwhelmingly positive. If you've never played it before, it may seem a little bit like a dated shooter of sorts, and it kind of is, it kind of isn't. See, the premise for Fallout New Vegas is it's actually a politics game hidden under the veneer of ultra-violence. So it's got one of the most far-reaching faction systems you'll see in anything. In fact, I would argue by far it's probably the best Fallout game, at least in my personal opinion. Basically, every time that you interact with somebody of a particular faction, if they have the means of getting word back to their particular faction, it will affect it in some ways, leading to situations even as detailed as, for example, a faction may directly hate you, but they will respect you enough for the stuff that you've done that you end up being you can still work with them, but people will be super sketchy about doing it. So you can wind up with on a variety of different spectrums in terms of how everybody sees you. It tends to give it a lot of very good feedback as far as your direct actions. It feels like every time you play through, it's a different world state. It's the same kind of praise that I give to Tactics Ogre, where, again, just depending on the choices that you do, it'll quietly be affecting stuff left, right, and center. And additionally, the combat system is just a lot of fun. Sure, some of the stuff like melee is very basic in it, but it's never not satisfying to, for example, hunt down a quest NPC or something that tried to screw you over, and then just basically removing all their limbs. It's extraordinarily violent if that sort of thing bugs you, like if you're bugged by people's legs getting blown off by landmines and stuff like that. Yeah, it's an incredible game. It's easily some of the best writing in the genre, full stop. The characters are incredibly fleshed out. The combat's a hell of a lot of fun. The world is just great to travel through. It's a rundown sort of post-apocalypse kind of thing. Society is already rebuilt after the apocalypse, and they're back to being the same old stuff that they used to be before. So yeah, very extremely political game. It doesn't try to make you do any particular thing, though. It just kind of tries to represent stuff as much as possible, except for the I guess you could say crazy cosplayer factions, who's one of the major players. They're a little less fleshed out than everybody else, but I guess they kind of assume, well, actually this game's development was unbelievably kind of sabotaged by its own developer, but or not developer, but its own publisher. Like, they got screwed and a half, but the game still turned out amazing. But yeah, for anyone that wants to play a Caesar's Legion, you're probably going to have a little bit less to bite into. Everyone hates the Legion for a reason. If they don't, they might have a little bit of a sketchy past. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue looking through here, because I also happen to see Sots the Pit, possibly. Are you on sale? I know it's going to be crazy. It's going to be the same recommendations as last time. $2.49 for the greatest roguelike you will ever play. Yes. Yes, you should. Yes, you absolutely should. Basically, if you're familiar with settings like System Shock 2 and stuff like that, it's a roguelike basically set in a very similar kind of almost kind of sci-fi sarcastic universe. And the idea is that you're trying to go through the typical classic roguelike multiple floors of dungeons kind of thing, but the whole way through you're interacting with various types of gadgets for various different types of reasons. And just kind of trying to MacGyver your way to the bottom. It's an exceptionally difficult game in terms of learning what exactly does what. But it does lead to a lot of very fun emergent gameplay. So yeah, good stuff there. So yeah, not very many games that I've seen in which you might go into a room expecting to loot it and then essentially leave it because that entire thing became a gigantic trap that you sort of impromptu set up for a gigantic den of lions that just sort of was chasing you through a door that you didn't realize was there because a nearby robot that you'd alerted earlier went and ended up going and pulling them in as allies. And so now all of a sudden you just have to turn that room into their prison, going and welding the door shut because you've only got 3 bullets and a sandwich to your name, and you can't figure out how to survive now. Yeah, it leads to some wild scenarios, but expect the game to screw you in new and unexpected ways on every playthrough. That's just part of the experience. Even the developers said so. All right. Let's see. Teleglitch. I think I saw you on the list, didn't you? Yeah, Teleglitch 324. Again, not one that you'll really hear talked about much these days. Teleglitch is basically a kind of run-and-gun shooter kind of thing. It's got a very unique kind of style to it. Maybe not for everybody, but it is a very interesting feeling. I would say it's almost like if somebody made Ico into a shooter. Is kind of mentally where it, for some reason, put me. I don't know why. But yeah, very interesting aesthetics. Very cheap. So, also on that list, moving on. Let's see here. New Stalker game's out, but that's not on sale. Binding of Isaac. They have a new one of these, but from what I've heard, it's kind of screwy. Apparently, the newest versions of Binding of Isaac after Rebirth are a little bit on the funky side of things, so I don't know. I haven't really looked into them outside of hearing a lot of negative feedback on those. Crypt of the NecroDancer, if you love rhythm games, you love roguelikes, you've probably already heard of this because it's kind of a unique entry into its own genre. But, I mean, this game's reputation precedes it. Obviously, another one that's available for like $3. Definitely worth that whole thing there. Sultan Sanctuary. If you love kind of Souls-like games, this also might very much be your gem. It is basically kind of, if you mix together Symphony of the Night and Dark Souls, more or less, with a lot of the kind of interesting jumpy abilities that you could get out of a sort of Metroidvania kind of game, but a lot more kind of parrying and down-to-earth overall combat that you'd see from a more Souls-like kind of situation. Earns, it's very positive here, does have limited multiplayer available to it. The setting, parry systems, and whatever else are very fun. The overall setting, actually, if you happen to ever be one of those people that preferred, let's say, Dark Souls 2 as opposed to, 1 or 3 or whatever else, and you loved just kind of seeing the interesting settings and kind of finding those sort of almost creepy but calming type of vibes that you were running into regularly, you might really enjoy the setting of this one, like the castle, the place with the friggin' murder unicorns, all of that kind of stuff. It just really spoke to me about this one. This is easily one of my favorite Souls-like kind of things for that reason, because the settings are just really, really cool. And on top of that, it's got a very interesting faction system worked in there as well, where the way that you interact with certain factions allows you to kind of do this whole thing where like, let's say you get to an area and you can't use the full extent of the benefits that you've gotten through your faction system because that place is operated by another group, and so you're effectively operating with, like, let's say less healing items, or like if you're part of the people from the forest, you would get a stock of poisonous throwing knives every time you went and took a rest, and now you run into another place, and this place is run by the mountain smiths, and they replaced your healing item with loaves of bread. They've you've still got a few heals and whatever else, but you're not going to have your poison throwing knives anymore, or the kind of enchanted wine that you get off the rich people, or maybe some of the healing items you get from the healing faction. But it's cool because it's kind of the situation where you can actually kind of purge out the people that were running the place naturally, and potentially kind of create this risky situation where you fight a boss fight to purge the place of its previous occupants and create your own. And you can customize your own NPCs there, like you bring in a blacksmith, you bring in a shop, you bring in an upgrade place, you bring in a sort of a fast travel point. It's really cool. I mean, genuinely, I feel like this is one of the coolest things, coolest entries into the Souls-like genre. So yeah, that's kind of where that's going to go. There's technically a Salt and Sacrifice here. Let's see what they're looking like. Salt and Sacrifice was mixed from day one. It's similar, but it's got more like traveling bosses and such. I'm gonna add it to the list. It's just on that cusp where if it was like, $4 or $5, I probably would go pick it up. But it's one of these ones that I wasn't quite as excited about as Sultan Sanctuary. They changed a lot of mechanics in this one. That's mostly why it's mixed. Because people wanted more Sultan Sanctuary, and they got Sultan Sacrifice, and it was its own thing, and apparently still good, but just, again, kind of doing its own thing. So it kind of shot itself in the foot there, but... Anyway, let's see. Let's go back to the main list, see if there's anything in particular that sort of jumps out at us in terms of directly new stuff and whatnot. Let's see. Let's go to the Discovery queue. I'm sure there's going to be a million and one things I missed. It inevitably happens. Also, we're going to avoid the Discovery queue, actually, because sometimes it recommends some really weird stuff, so let's not. And I think part of that is because it pulls in random stuff from all over your library, I think, which is especially weird because a lot of, I think when it originally was doing that whole feature, it ended up pulling in a bunch of the random stuff you get from, Humble Bundles and whatnot, which occasionally had some just stuff you'd never actually want to play. It randomly recommends kind of anime-related stuff, and I have no interest in it, but every time it's like, oh, well, I guess we saw these in your library, maybe you're interested. No, I've never played it for a reason. It's sad collecting virtual dust forever. Why do you keep recommending this? Alright, let's see. Battletech, one of the best kind of mech team simulator things that's been out in a while. $10 is great for how much value you're getting there. Let's see, I know I had Armored Core 6 on here. Why is it not... I think it's because I haven't technically installed it since I had to flash my Steam Deck. Alright, Armored Core, are you on sale? Because you've been getting updates. Please... No, you're not on sale, damn. It has been getting new updates, though. Excellent game, but we're going to go back to the original shop there. And let's just go ahead and kind of see everything. See what we got for deep discounts. Let's go list a few, please. What do we got here? Please no making me redo the video because you accidentally decided to promote porn under deep discounts. Yeah, Kingdom Come, amazing game, especially for $3. Don't know, not a fan of Assassin's Creed. Is that's it? That's all we're doing? Okay. Don't get too expansive with that list. RimWorld will forever baffle me because for being an incredible game, it's always also comparatively very expensive. Let's see. Let's look. Battlefield 2042. I heard that they improved this quite a decent bit, so if you're into shooters, there you go, $5. I used to play a lot more of those. I honestly don't do that much these days. Let's see, we got Wasteland 3. Not bad for $7.99, but I've seen it for cheaper. Planescape Torments. What's interesting is that if you happen to be on Switch, you can get the Baldur's Gate and Planescape Torment bundle for $3 every time that it comes up on sale. So, also kind of interesting. Also, just noticed that there's another one. What's it called? Okay, sorry, having a kind of tip of the tongue moment. The one where you're doing all the sort of geomancy with weird goblin creatures. What the hell is the name of that one? Hopefully we'll run into it. Tenderfoot, right. Let's see, Tenderfoot's on sale. Where is that search bar? Yes, it is on sale. Okay. Tenderfoot is a lot of fun. Basic idea is that yeah, you're like a bunch of ghosts, goblins or something, and every time that... okay, so you're kind of traveling along trying to purge the world of the stuff that's there. And so you, every time you get into a fight, the fights basically involve geomancy with every one of your attacks having some dramatic effect on the world around you. Like if you have a water-based attack and you have an earth-based attack, the earth-based attack might crack the earth, and then the water-based attack would go and fill it up. The fire stuff would set everything nearby on fire. The kind of plant-based attacks would go and cause things to grow out of the earth. And all these different classes that you can customize your people into will essentially get more of these abilities. Like many things on this list, you've got hard modes, permadeath modes, and whatever else, kinds of stuff that I typically like to recommend. So yeah, very fun game, very relaxing, very fun travel in this one as well. Okay. God, this one's getting long. It's almost like Steam hasn't dang near infinite library of games to recommend. Yeah, my throat's giving out. I think I'm going to have to kind of wrap it up here pretty darn soonish. Just give it one more peek here in case we're missing anything. Octopath 1, I heard it was similar to Triangle, where it had cool ideas, but just wasn't quite there yet, which is why I'm looking forward to Triangle 2, as opposed to, where we saw Octopath landing. Heard Bloodstained was pretty darn good. I don't know if it's $10 on sale good, but supposedly it's a very good Metroidvania. Let's see. Okay then. Let's see. What else is on this list? What the hell? Are you... What? Apparently the demos are exceptionally horny today. Yeah, that's kind of what happened last time. Alright, well, let's see. Not free-to-play. Definitely don't click free-to-play again. I think that'll have to be about it. Obviously, there's 1,000,001 recommendations that you can do. I'm not sure why it's being particularly weird about its recommendations today. Yeah, I don't have this on my wish list. Why is this on my wish list? It's not. Okay, we talked about Voidspire. Definitely want to pick that up. Divinity is also on sale, but I've seen this go down to like $5. Deadfire, same thing, I've seen it go down to about $5. Disco Elysium was like $2 to $3 several weeks ago, so I'm sure that'll go down more. Wildermyth is not on sale, but it'd be great if it was. Fear and Hunger is a pretty cool series, but not on sale at the moment. Hades tends to go down to $4 or $5 on holidays. Legend of Mana, same thing, tends to go down to like $4 or $5 on holidays. Incredible game in those situations. Okay. Let's see. NecroDancer isn't out yet. Tactical Breach Wizards just came out, so it's still kind of up there as far as price. Metal Slug, I will get to that when I get to it. Somebody said to try Cybernauts, I forget what that even is. Same thing for this one. I mean, MGS2, if they could put it down to like $5, I'd probably pick it up. Let's see. Yeah, Banner Saga, all of those are down to $5 as they usually do. There's just... Oh yeah, let's see what the Soul series is like. I feel like that's probably on pretty deep sale too, except they don't have Bloodborne, which is not particularly great, but if you have a PS4 you could, and you have a Steam Deck, you could always use that whole Chiaki thing for that. Let's see... Now, out of curiosity, do they have the original one? Right, that's why the original one was on here. So original plus DLC is that much. Actually, what's kind of interesting here... hold on. Yeah, I don't know how this all works. Do I have the original version? I know I meant to get the original version at some point, but I don't even see an option to buy it by itself. Just like the option to buy it with DLC. Well, if you are looking for the kind of original kind of Dark Souls 2 thing, honestly, this isn't terrible. Like, not ideal, but not really terrible there. I don't really get what the deal is with this. I guess you can't buy it without the DLC or something. Let me see if I just... You know, I have the Scholar version, so I don't know why it doesn't allow it to be bought without DLC. That's strange. Because yeah, original DS2, in my opinion, kind of cozier than the new Scholar version. Arguably worse balance, worse placement on some items, but but in general, I think a lot of the sort of placements of units and such were a bit cozier. Like, DS2 is really one of these games that you play because you enjoy the exploration, more so than some of the other stuff. Like, the sheer clunkiness, the kind of interesting pace of the world, I really enjoy that stuff. But anyways, I think we're kind of getting a bit off track here, so let's give it one last peek here, see if there's anything in particular that we might have missed. Other than that, we're probably just going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Is Nuclear Throne on sale by chance? if you happen to like kind of run gun shooty type of things, yeah, no, it's not on sale. Like, great game, it's just never pretty much on sale because it hasn't been relevant in like a decade. So it is what it is. I guess I would assume the Stalker games are probably on sale at this point. One of these ones that's definitely worth kind of supporting because you know, the devs and such. I don't know if the Stalker 2 devs are the same. Or rather, the company is the same. Let's see if these are all on sale. Because yeah, actually, I will say, as far as Stalker 2 goes, it's not on the sale, but it is. Okay, it looks like they did fix the Steam reviews. Like, it's one of those kind of really annoying situations that ended up happening, where these guys ended up still managing to put out a game despite being in the midst of a war and some of their staff even being lost to said war, and still the people on the opposite side of said war decided to review bomb it, of all things. Like, it... Man... Like, how petty do you have to be that... Anyway. So, yeah, good on them for getting this thing out, given the circumstances. Heard it was basically similar to the originals, if you like the originals. I really like kind of popping them in every now and then. So all of them are going to be available for pretty cheap. So between all of these, COP is... let's see, which one was which? I'm trying to remember now. So yeah, Shadow of Chernobyl is the original one. That's where most of the memes come from. I want to say Clear Sky is the one that tends to have the most mods for it and had the best kind of like realism aspects to it. And I think was it COP or Clear Sky? No, I think actually Clear Sky is the one that started you off in an ambush that it didn't tell you how to escape. Yeah, I think that's what that one was. And then yeah, Call of Pripyat is the one with all the mods. But yeah, if you wanted an apocalypse simulator that really makes you feel like trash in the world, then Stalker is 100% going to be what you're looking for there. Okay, anyways, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. This has already gone a decently long ways. I just noticed that it was a little funny to see Kavark on the list of like games of the year and whatever else. And while I personally wouldn't rate it as game of the year, it is a fun little shooter here. A bit high on price considering the circumstances. But if you ever wanted, let's say, Half-Life 2, but it's kind of set in like a nuclear Soviet lab thing, it is a very fun game. All right, anyways, I gotta get going then. This one's run long enough, way longer than necessary, actually, arguably. And yeah, y'all have yourselves a good one. Take care. Bye.